first thank you for sitting down and taking time out of your day to come to interview me. I really appreciate it. So we're just gonna get right into it. First question for you is so what's the deal with your hand? Is it like were you born with like I guess was it like a defect or
Yeah. So I was born with it's called indent band syndrome. I don't know too much in-depth detail, but like these bands in the womb were floating around, and I stuck my hand outside the womb, and they kind of wrapped around my fingers and cut the circulation off, so it stopped the growth. It stunted the growth of the hand. Okay. That's why I still have a palm, and I still have these fingers coming out of it because it was in the growth process of being a hand, but because the amniotic bands wrapped around the fingers, it cut the circulation off, so it just stopped the growth of it.
Okay. Yeah. So, when you were young, I guess, at what point did you realize that something different about about my hand, about the anatomy of my body? I guess at what point did you kind of start realizing it?
I mean, I guess I kind of always knew, because like in the womb, my dad was saying like whenever they would get the pictures, they would see me holding my hand in my mouth or like kind of sucking my thumb almost, and that's not really what babies do in the womb. So they knew something was up, they just didn't know what it was. I guess like when I was able to realize like what life was, like what the world was, all that, I kind of knew that something was different, something was off. Especially when you start going to school, you start being around other people that other than your family, and everybody has this two hands and everything. You kind of realize that hey, maybe you're not supposed to have one hand almost. Yeah. So I mean, if I had to give you an age, I would say probably around 3 or 4 when I started going to preschool. Yeah. So that's kind of when I knew almost that something was wrong with my hand.
And what was that time period like? When you were young, going to school, and realizing that you were different, and just kind of adapting from that point forward.
I guess just kind of learning new ways of doing things. Yeah. I don't do everything like the normal person does. So I guess kind of figuring my own way out almost to, I guess even brush my teeth, take a shower, do things that maybe one person would do with 2 hands almost. Mm-hmm. So kind of just figuring out my own way to do things kind of helped me figure it, almost grow from me learn from having one hand.
Yep. At what point did you start playing baseball?
So it was around 4 years old. I started playing, I started actually picking up the glove, throwing with my dad. But when I was like 2, 3, I picked up the baseball, started throwing around the house a little bit, whatever, just like little babies do. But 4, that was when I kind of started actually throwing, tossing a little bit. And I would say so after Katrina happened, when we came back, settled down, it was about 5, 6 years old when I actually started like competing a little bit. Yeah. Actually started trying to learn the game of baseball, learn how to throw the way I was going to throw, learn how to bat, learn how to just do the regular throwing motion. Yeah. So I would say around like 5, 6 years old is when I actually when I figured out what I want to do with the game of baseball.
Yeah. So when you first started playing, you're going through this process. You have to find new ways, obviously, to pitch, to throw, to catch, and to field the ball, and everything, et cetera. Was it kind of like a trial and error type thing, or did you have somebody that you were kind of looking up to and say, how does he do this thing? And what was that process like for you?
So my parents used to read me this book, and it was by Jim Abbott. Mm-hmm. And he also had one hand. He was in the major leagues, and they would kind of tell me how he did it. My dad kind of tried to show me how he did it, and he would try to play around, see what kind of ways I could do it. But in the end, like, my dad just let me have control of how I wanted to do it almost. So I I basically came up with what I did. I learned it on my own. Instead of like, you know, my parents saying, "Hey, do it this way," figure it out that way. They kind of just let me, you know, be myself, let me figure it out on my own, and that's how I kind of came up with the whole process of how I do things.
Yeah. Was there ever a moment where you said, you know, wait, you know, this baseball thing might be a little challenging for me? Obviously, you know, most people that you watch baseball, you see, you know, your throwing hand and your glove hand. You know, was there ever a point in time you said, you know, damn, this might not be able to do this, or you know, did you ever had that moment?
I guess like sometimes I had that thought when I was younger, but you know, when I was younger, I was like, you know, I'm gonna do it. Like, if Jim Abbott can do it, I can do it.
Yeah.
And there really wasn't a doubt in my mind when I was younger that, hey, this is too hard for me or whatever. It was mainly just me putting my mind to it and being like, hey, I can do that. Like I can figure it out almost. But I mean, there was times in, you know, high school whenever I was like, maybe I won't get to that next level because of my hand. And I felt hopeless a little bit, like, dang man, like, I don't know, maybe I'm not good enough. Maybe, you know, having one hand is dragging me down. But I was just glad to have good parents who was like, you know, you can do whatever you set your mind to. Just keep with the process, keep growing, keep learning, keep evolving, and continue to grow as a baseball player.
Yeah. So you talked about obviously Katrina earlier a little bit. Obviously you were really young when that happened, but what, if anything, do you remember, you know, about that whole process, you know, with your family and having to move and all that stuff?
So I was, I think I was 4 years old when it happened. So I remember like some snippets, like whenever I think about it, I can remember like some memories of what it was like. I remember the night before, whenever we were kind of packing up a little bit, because nobody really thought it was going to be as bad as it was.
Yeah.
But I'm thankful that my parents, you know, had that inkling that, hey, maybe something's up. So I remember like that. I remember leaving the house. I remember going to where we evacuated at, which was Tupelo, Mississippi. And I kind of remember like my parents and my whole family, because we evacuated with my aunts and uncles and one of my cousins. We kind of just stayed together. And I kind of remember like how their attitude was. They were kind of devastated. And when it was a long period of time, I kind of knew something was going on.
Yeah.
But you know, you kind of get that inkling as a kid whenever your parents, you know, are acting different, because you know, that it ruined the whole house, and nobody knew what was going on because TV coverage was hard to get. You know, you couldn't really get down into the streets because it was 7 feet of water.
Yeah.
People were drowning in there. People on top of their houses. So it was a devastating scene, especially for my parents, because, you know, I was so young and I didn't really know what was going on, but I kind of had a little knowledge of what was going on. But I mean, we went to Disney for a week before we moved back to Louisiana. And then when we came back, we stayed with my aunt and uncle for a couple months, close to a year, just to kind of figure out, but have my parents give them a chance to kind of figure out what was going on.
Yeah.
Because, like I said, I mean, it ruined the entire house. I think I have like 4, maybe 5 baby pictures.
Yeah.
And I mean, we barely had any clothes, because we had the stuff that we packed. Because I mean, the flood carried some of the stuff out of the house. So it wasn't like we came home to everything was there. It was just ruined. It was like it wasn't there no more. I mean, I remember this one time I was able to go back with my parents to the house. There was a pinball machine sitting in the living room that we did not own at all. So it was like, it was kind of crazy, because if you really think about it, like people's stuff was just floating in the water, floating in people's houses. There was creatures in the water. Because it was just like the regular sea water.
Yeah.
So once they kind of figured out what was going on, we moved to my new house in Bogalusa, because they were kind of deciding on whether we were going to go back across the lake or we were going to move. to where we live now, so we're not affected as much if another flood happens like that.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how that whole process went.
Yeah. How did that process affect your parents or you as in the aftermath, the years after that happened?
They were devastated. I mean, the place that I grew up at, it's a small community, and everybody knows each other. Everybody knows who each other is, what high school they go to, what where they work. Everybody's just friends. So it devastated them a bunch because their friends get displaced. Back then, phones weren't a big thing, so it was hard to contact to know hey, what's this person doing? Is he okay?
Yeah.
How's their house doing? So it was it was really tough for them because if you put yourself in their shoes, it's it's different because not everybody had phones back then.
Yeah.
It wasn't a big deal. So I know they were worried about their friends, their family that may have never been with them. And then for personally myself, I mean, it didn't affect me as much because I was so young. I hadn't made too many friends yet. I mean, I was still in daycare.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, me and my neighbor, we were cool. So it was kind of like, hey, I still wonder what he's doing these days.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think it helped, or I can't complain because I don't know what my future would have held if I would have stayed there, if Katrina would have never happened. So, I mean, I can only be grateful that, not that it did happen, but that I was put in the opportunities that I was whenever I did leave and moved to my new house location. So I was kind of blessed that the process went like it did.
Yeah. So obviously you've been through a lot. You've been through the Hurricane Katrina, obviously the whole ordeal with your hand. What do you think allows you, when I talk to your teammates, talk to your coaches, you say you're always so positive. Your coach says, that you're always the most exciting guy. You're the first one to volunteer when a recruit can want to visit. What do you think allows you to be so positive and to allow you to kind of be the way you are despite everything that's happened to you?
There's many reasons. I know one, of course, obviously, is my hand. I mean, I'm very, very humble, very grateful with the opportunities I was set forth within baseball, school, friends, family. Also having a good set of parents, having brothers, having a great family to kind of lead me down a good direction, good path. Also, like I said, friends. I mean, I had a lot of friends who played in college. They're older than me. They kind of took me under their wing. So I feel like, I need to continue with that. I need to take other people under my wing and be positive about everything because, I mean, it's not the end of the world if you strike out, if you make an error. You're still going to be able to walk off the field and go see your family, go hug your mom, go kiss your dad. And be with your buddies and play the game of baseball because you don't know how many days you will have left. What's granted, don't take nothing for granted. Just being humble about everything is my kind of mindset.
Yeah. Now, when I see you, when I talk to your teammates, also they say it's not something that you hide. You know what I'm saying? Like your name on Instagram is the one-handed pitcher. How do you kind of embrace having one hand and going out there and just saying, F it, this is me, how are you able to go about and do that and why?
I love it. I love having one hand. I wouldn't be the person that I am. I wouldn't have the same attitude, the same energy that I have. I've embraced it. I haven't, some people with disabilities, they don't embrace their disability, so it kind of, it puts them behind almost. But I embraced it. I know I have one hand. I know it's not going to go anywhere anytime soon. So why not embrace it? Why not, play around, joke about it, and use it to inspire other people, while also, being a leader, being a great teammate, great friend, a great son to my parents. And why? Because, like I said, you just got to embrace it. I mean, like I said, it's not going to go anywhere. And I've accepted that. So I use that to my advantage to, again, be a great teammate, be humble, be a leader.
talk to me about the difficulties, the hard parts. What are the hardest parts, about having one hand?
I mean, there's a lot of hard parts. I can't work out the same way that everybody else does. So, maybe some of my numbers that I can be putting up, I can't because one side's weaker than the other.
Yeah.
Also, baseball. I mean, maybe it's all questions. Like maybe I could be throwing harder if I had another hand. Maybe I could feel even better than I do if I had another hand. Or it's all like questions that will never be answered. So I mean, like I said, kind of embracing that and kind of knowing that it's if I can find a way to do it, then it's not hard. Kind of just allowing myself to know, hey, if you're put up with a challenge, beat the challenge, beat the odds. So every day is hard, just figuring out things that I haven't figured out before, learning new ways to do different things that I haven't done before. And once I get a process down, I know exactly how to do it. It just becomes easier, like second nature.
Yeah. So obviously for you, you said earlier that there were times in high school when you kind of doubted yourself, like getting up to the next level. Obviously, you were committed to a junior college before you came here. So what was it like? Finally, being able to get that Division I offer and commit to Coppin State and realize your dream of playing Division I baseball.
It was definitely humbling. I remember when Coach Gridley called me. It was like 2 weeks before school started. Again, like you said, I was committed to the JUCO. School was about to start in 2 weeks. I was getting myself prepped for that season. And when Coach Gridley called me and gave me that Division I offer, I mean, immediately I was like, oh yeah, this has been my dream my whole life. I don't know if I'll ever get another chance to play Division I baseball, even if I went to my JUCO. So why not take it? Because if my whole mindset is if this is my last 4 years of baseball, I want to play it at the highest level. I want to show people that they can make it to, even with disabilities, they can make it to the highest level of college baseball. And so I kind of used it as a tool to help inspire other people, not only myself, not my family, not my friends, but other people who don't know about me, people who had never met me before. Maybe they can, kind of see that, hey, it is possible. No matter what kind of odds are in the way, it is possible to overcome those odds. And that's kind of where my mindset was whenever I got that Division I offer, and I couldn't pass it up.
So after the other day, you're playing Richmond and you come in relief, pitch 2 1/3 scoreless innings, don't give up a hit. Talk to me about that moment, getting your first win as a college pitcher.
It was fun. I honestly didn't even realize it until the end of the game that I got the win. Because when I went on the mound, I was just like not thinking about anything. I was just like, get up there, keep us in the game. Because the time that I came in, we were losing 1-0, and I was like, just keep us in the game. Let our bats, play out, and just let the runs score. So, I mean, like you said, I did well. And when I realized that I got my first win, I was hysterical. I was awesome. I was just amazed. And everybody back home was so proud of me. And that's the best feeling in the world, to be honest. Like when your friends that you grew up with, your family that you've always been around, even family friends who, sometimes you get to see, once, twice a year maybe, just on occasion. When they're proud of you, when they're posting on Facebook about you, commenting on your post, telling you congratulations, shooting you a text, congratulations. It's really a different feeling. But yeah.
So what are your goals, going forward for the rest of this season, and then, also for the rest of this? First, what are your goals for the rest of this season for your first year?
My goal is to help the team win, continue to, learn, grow, develop. Because this is my freshman year, so the steps I take now is what's going to build me by my senior year.
Yeah.
It's going to be kind of the tale of what my senior year is going to be look like. So kind of just having different goals, like like I said, keep us in the game. Can continue to develop and grow, learn from mistakes, don't be too hard on myself, go out there and have fun is the big thing. That'll help me, take my game to the next level.
Yeah. And then 4-year wise, what do you want your lasting, I guess, I don't want to legacy, but your lasting, I guess, mark to be, on College State for 4 years? What are the things that you want to accomplish while you're here?
I want to be the best pitcher that I can be here. I want to be remembered as the guy who came in, did my role, did my job, kept us in the game, helped us win. I'd love to break any school records that I can. I'd love to, be in the top, 25, top 100 of some kind of category in the NCAA. But in the end, I just want to be remembered as a leader on and off the field, a good teammate, good in the classroom, a good friend to many, and a great pitcher. That's all I want to be remembered as, because stats, they stay there, but the memories you have with your teammates, the memories of practices, games, those never die.
So I was talking to your coach earlier. Obviously, right now, you're coming out the bullpen. You see yourself being a starter? Do you think that something that you want to obviously get to by the end of the season or by the end of the year? Maybe even sooner rather than later. Do you see yourself being a starter?
Yeah. My whole mindset this year has been, accept whatever role I get, whether it's closer, bullpen guy, long relief, starter, whatever role they give me, I'm going to go out there and dominate. So honestly, it really doesn't matter to me what role they give me. It doesn't matter if I'm a starter or out the bullpen. Either way, I'm going to go out there on the mound. I'm going to dominate. Of course, everybody hopes to be starter, Friday night guy. They hope to be that top pitcher, and of course, I hope to be that. But like I said, I whatever role they give me, I'm just going to go out there and dominate it and do my role.
That was the last question I had for you. Is there anything else that you wanted to add or comment?
No, you basically touched on the whole story. I don't think there's anything else that's left unsaid.
Appreciate it. Thank you for your time. Thank you for sitting down with me, and I really appreciate it.
That's no problem.